No, wait, move.
Really good. Hey everyone, come and see how good I look. How now brown cow. Unique New York.
Guys,
Unique.
guys,
Yeah.
we're on air.
Welcome to Channel 17 News. I am your anchorman,
Tommy
Baker.
And I am Sam Tucker. We got 10 stories for you guys today. 2 big ones and 8 small ones. Isn't that right, Tommy?
That is right.
That is very right indeed.
It seems that our first reporter is ready, Josh Shepard.
Josh Shepard.
Take it away, that'd be awesome.
That'd be just great. You know, that was really good.
That was great.
Thank you, Sam and Tommy.
Hey, no problem.
So in China, 221 BC to 210 BC, a new government was installed called legalism. Now legalism teaches you certain things like power and efficiency in the government. Huan Shi installed this, and he also did a lot of great things for the people, such as build new roads and build new wheels. But people aren't really happy with him because he sacrificed workers to hurry production. He has also burnt Confucius writings, which makes the Confucius really hate Emperor Shi Huangdi.
Perfect.
And once Shi Huangdi unified China, he divided China into 36 districts, giving them each district to a noble family. Once he died after 210 BC, a revolt started 4 years later by Liu Bang, and it started the Han Dynasty. Back to you, Sam.
Breaking news, guys. We just found a bunch of terracotta warriors. Now, what does that mean? First of all, terracotta warriors are Chinese warriors found in a pit of a tomb known from Qi Shi Huang. What are the terracotta warriors? These are strange statues, and how were they made? It's all very simple, or at least in the eyes of this dynasty. Qi Shi Huang, the first emperor of China at the time, and as part of the Qin dynasty, was an interesting man. He believed that after he died, he needed to be protected by some type of army, an army of the dead. Before his death, he was in charge of a large army called the Terracotta Army, a very strong army that conquered much land for him. This man did, though, die, and he needed to be protected. The Terracotta Army was built. These figures of the Terracotta Army was built a bit before 210 to 209 BCE. Heads, arms, legs, and torsos were each made separately in some sort of kind of a factory line, like we see today. To put in perspective, these warriors were made each finger separately, and there were over 8,000 warriors made, and each different. There were 8 different faces for each warrior, so not every single one looked the same. The actual tomb itself of Qi Shi Huang was very interesting. It was a very large tomb, and it was built into different pits where different types of warriors were put. Some were bowmen who were put into one pit, some had horses which were put into another pit, some had small horses, and some had large horses. The Terracotta Army had 8 different faces, and people made them through an assembly line like we see today, as I said. All these figures were life-size, and many of them were carrying weapons to protect their dead king. Even some of the horses were created separately and made in the same way that these were. Some weaponry, not only that what I listed, but included swords, spears, battle axes, scimitars, shields, crossbows, and arrowheads. I think that Qi Shi Huang will be very well protected after he's dead.
Today we are going to be talking about the trade in China. In the Han Dynasty, artisans manufactured numerous products. They made fine pottery, iron, swords, jade, and bronze objects. China's most prized product, though, was probably its silk. The Chinese had known and carefully guarded the secret of making silk. If anyone revealed the secret, then they were going to be killed. The merchants traveled between China and Central Asia using a series of overland routes. The most famous of these routes was the Silk Road. The Silk Road was plagued by rugged, barren terrains and faced attacks by bandits. For protections, merchants would travel in huge camel caravans to make sure that their products would get to their person safely. That's it.
Thanks, Kieran.
Thomas Baker here, covering the latest grave in the Han Dynasty, Buddhism. Now this religion comes from our neighbor to the west, India. As the Han Dynasty is declining, it's no mystery how unstable we are. Suffering is up by 7.63%. The Buddhists promised escape from pain and suffering more than Confucius and Taoism that these Chinese people already believed in. Entering the Han Dynasty, 1st century AD, it has spread throughout China by 200 AD. Thanks. Now to you, Casey.
Men in the house have the power over everyone. The father is who the daughters and son pick the marriage. He's the one who picks the husband's career, and he is the one who does everything in the house. The women don't have as much say as the men. They have to live with their husband's family. They have to take care of their children. The daughter, it's like raising raising a daughter in someone else's family. It's horrible the way that they get treated. They have to obey their father. They have to obey their mother. They have to just worry about their children and worry about the life that they're about to have. The sons have more power than the daughters. They are allowed to have a say in somewhat of the stuff. If they respect and honor their father and the government sees that, then they are allowed to have the job in the government, but the father is still allowed to decide what job he has. The women have to take care of the mother-in-law and the father-in-law of their husbands. When they're off to war, they have to take care of them. And I think that's about it. The family life is horrible. Horrible.
Now we will talk about the early Indian empires. By the 300s BC, a number of kingdoms existed across India. Each kingdom had its own ruler, and no central authority united them. There was a strong ruler by the name of Marian, who gained control and began conquering the surrounding areas. His conquests led to the founding of India's first empire, the Mauryan Empire. Around 321 BC, Maurya assumed the throne in the kingdom of Magadha. During his rule, Maurya established a strong centralized government to control his empire and crush resistance to his rule. Also during Maurya's rule, a Greek ambassador named Megasthenes visited the Mauryan Empire. He described the land as a land of prosperity. In 301 BC, Maurya gave up his throne to become a Jainist monk. His son then became emperor, followed by his grandson Ashoka in about 270 BC. Under Ashoka's rule, India was considered to be one of India's greatest rulers. The Mauryan Empire reached its height during this time. After Ashoka died in 232 BC, the empire began to decline. About 184 BC, the last Mauryan emperor was killed by one of his own officers, and that's the early Indian Empire.
Thank you, Josh. Today we are going to talk about the Gupta rise. Well, who started it? What happened to it? Why did they do it? Well, I'm going to tell you. There was a couple of people who started it, and it basically was a family. The father's name was Chartagupta. He was the one who expanded everything and made the economy better. But he said that he started it. I don't think he did. I think his father did. They did it because they needed more land. They needed to show people that they were going to take over, and they needed to be able, but they couldn't have everything be protected. They had so much land that they weren't able to take a lot of their soldiers out and make them protect their space. So they stopped for a little and they didn't protect it and let other people take over. And then the son of Chartagupta took over, and he brought everyone and told everyone that they needed to go and protect his land. Gupta had a rule, and his one rule was that the Indian needed to follow this, and he told them that they need to break it down into units.
Now won't stop.
Here again, in 301 BC, Chandragupta left his throne to become a monk. His son followed after him, and then after his son, his grandson followed. Ashoka was his name. He came to power in 270 BC. Ashoka ruled during the height of the Mauryan Empire. It continued to expand under Ashoka to be almost all of present-day India. Suddenly, a lot of fighting fell over India. The Mauryans were the most brutal. Ashoka disliked this and became Buddhist and hoped others would as well. The beloved of the gods, Ashoka, honors, remembers all sects, religions. Whoever honors his own sect and disparages, speaks poorly about another man's, does his own sect the greatest possible harm. Conquered harmony is best with each person hearing and respecting the other's teachings. Ashoka wanted to spread Buddhism throughout India, and that led to Buddhism going into China.
So in the Gupta Empire, they have a language they use called Sanskrit. Sanskrit was originally used by the Aryans in the Indus River Valley civilization. Now, a great writer that was during the time of the Gupta Empire was called Kalidasa. He wrote two famous books, one being called Kanatilala, which tells the story of a king falling in love with a maid. It has humor, comedy, love, romance, every great element to a story. Also, he wrote Sanchilatala, which basically means 5 books. It tells the story of morals and how you should live your life.
Why, thank you, whoever just went before me. Alright, now we got the fall of Gupta. There was the rise of Gupta, but it's been like a lot of years, and now it's the fall of Gupta. So that's what this small story is about today. It all started around 480 BCE. The Hephatalites attacked and broke into the empire on the northeast side. Just 20 years later, the Huns attacked the same part of the empire, just disintegrating the Gupta empire and dynasty. These attacks just broke the empire itself. Also, like many other civilizations, the empire had its time on Earth, and it just went away by spreading out too much, and the flimsy government naturally brought down Gupta. And that is basically it. So Gupta is no more, and that is the end of our broadcast today. Thank you, everyone, for I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? See you next time? Oh, yeah, see you next time!